Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into something really massive. We're breaking down a super dense, highly conceptual manifesto from MK, that's Meta King Attorney. We are looking at a proposed blueprint that basically mashes up international finance, cutting-edge blockchain technology, and regenerative farming, all wrapped into a frankly mind-blowing $775 billion agricultural model. It's a fascinating document because it proposes a complete restructuring of how we think about land, capital, and farming. My goal today is just to impartially guide you through this complex architecture so you can clearly understand exactly what the MK Blueprint is proposing. It's kind of like a giant puzzle, but we are going to untangle it together.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this vision, let's start with a crucial number, 155. This number represents the ultimate target of the entire MKA project. The blueprint aims to set up 155 brand new agricultural cooperatives across 5 strategic regions. But it absolutely doesn't stop there. Through these cooperatives, the model proposes creating 155 ethical young billionaires. And here is the real hook, the part that's just wild to think about. The source material stresses that this massive accumulation of wealth and agricultural power is intended to be achieved without taking a single hectare of land from local farmers. No confiscation whatsoever. It's a huge claim, and we're going to see exactly how they plan to pull this off.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a 6-part roadmap to get through today. We'll hit 1, the agricultural billionaire goal, 2, the regenerative agriculture model, 3, the international legal foundation, 4, global development finance, 5, RWA asset tokenization, and finally, 6, their core principles and profit sharing. Starting right off with Section 1, the agricultural billionaire goal. This focuses on creating 155 massive cooperatives, with each one spanning a minimum of 5,000 hectares. So the goal isn't just creating wealth in a vacuum, right? The blueprint mandates that these 155 billionaires must be ethical and young, and they literally have to meet 14 out of 15 United Nations criteria. Plus, because the model explicitly forbids land confiscation, the entire system relies 100% on transparent long-term cooperation contracts. It envisions this tightly knit ecosystem where the farmers, the local communities, the cooperatives, and even large corporations all operate under binding, mutually beneficial agreements instead of aggressive land grabs. Moving on to Section 2, the regenerative agriculture model. This is all built on the traditional Tomtai, or heaven, earth, and human framework. This cycle flows so seamlessly from high-level technology down to the dirt and finally to the human element. Step 1 is heaven, representing the overarching tech. This means Kenai Inc.'s smokeless factories pumping out 50 tons of biochar every single day, all managed by a smart app. Then that flows down to Step 2, earth. Here, the biochar, which they call black diamond, is physically mixed into the land to drastically improve soil health, creating this awesome circular agricultural loop. And finally, we hit Step 3, human. This is where the actual farming happens. Using the UTerra system, farmers engage in chemical-free agricultural production, boosting the yield and the quality while hitting international standards. It's a total integrated loop from industrial tech straight to the crops you eat.
Next up, Section 3, the International Legal Foundation and how global governance is mapped out here.
Now, what's really interesting about this legal architecture is that it operates on 3 distinct levels. The Heaven Pillar aligns with the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, which sets up the high-level legal foundation and handles disputes between nations. Then the Earth Pillar is linked to the ICC, the International Court of Arbitration. That's your practical layer, creating mechanisms to resolve the commercial and investment disputes that would inevitably pop up in a massive network like this. And finally, the Human Pillar connects to the International Criminal Court, which establishes individual responsibility for severe crimes. So think of it like this. Heaven creates the foundation, Earth resolves the disputes, and human establishes responsibility.
Which brings us right to Section 4, global development finance. So how does the money actually work within this philosophy? Under the Heaven Pillar, the UN's FAO provides the guiding principles for food security and sustainable systems, basically directing what the agriculture is supposed to achieve. Then the Earth Pillar looks over to the World Bank, referencing their principles on development finance and poverty reduction. That's all about creating the actual resources for growth. And finally, the Human Pillar aligns with the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, focusing heavily on macroeconomic stability and institutional capacity. Impartially speaking, it's a highly structured approach. Heaven directs the intent, Earth creates the resources, and human stabilizes the financial environment. All right, Section 5, RWA, Asset Tokenization and Blockchain Integration. Let's move to the tech funding this whole thing. For those who might be new to the term, RWA stands for real-world assets. Tokenization is just the process of digitizing those physical assets, like land, the biochar, or the crop yields, into digital tokens on a blockchain. Now, to hit that massive $775 billion target, the MKA model proposes generating a staggering 7.75 trillion tokens, and each token is valued at exactly 10 cents US. But what's absolutely crucial to note here is their strict commitment to compliance. The source emphasizes that this whole system is designed to adhere to the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS frameworks. That means extremely strict rules for transparency, anti-money laundering, counterterrorism financing, and making sure that every single token can be traced back to a real, tangible asset. And naturally, keeping with the theme, the flow of these tokenized funds is structured around that same Tom Tai philosophy, divided into 3 very specific trusts. The Heaven layer is the U.S. trust, sitting right at the top, directing resources and making those big international financial connections. Then capital flows down to the Earth layer, the ATG trust. They act as the intermediary, managing the structure and actually allocating the capital. Finally, it reaches the human layer, the Novita trust. This is where the rubber meets the road, executing the investments, managing commercial trade, fulfilling off-take agreements, and basically plugging that digital cash flow directly into the real, physical economy.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, Core Principles and the Profit-Sharing Model.
So, the crucial point is how all this is divided up. The model proposes a really striking profit-sharing split. A massive 78% of the benefits are intended to go directly back to the farmers and society at large. The remaining 22% is allocated to the other stakeholders, like the cooperatives and the corporate partners. It's a highly specific, tangible promise to make sure that the wealth generated by the land actually benefits the people working it rather than just getting swallowed up by corporate entities.
The MPAAQ Institute's overarching vision for this project is perfectly summarized with these core tenets. It demands public capital and traceable cash flow through tokenization. It completely reiterates the absolute, non-negotiable rule of no land confiscation, relying entirely on those cooperative contracts instead. It reinforces that 78-22 profit-sharing split, and ultimately it states that finance must serve the real economy. It's basically a manifesto that insists on technology serving humanity, all while maintaining a deep, lasting responsibility to Mother Earth.
Which brings us to the end. The source material signs off with a really powerful sentiment, leaving us with this highly provocative question to ponder. Can the Tam Tai model truly save Mother Earth? We've explored the entire structure today, from those smokeless biochar factories to the international courts, from 7.75 trillion digital tokens to the goal of 155 agricultural billionaires. It is undoubtedly one of the most intricately designed, financially ambitious, and philosophically dense blueprints out there right now. But whether this $775 billion framework can successfully bridge the gap between a grand theory and global reality, well, that's a question that still remains to be answered. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning the systems that shape our world. Catch you next time.